Well, welcome back. We are going to go through some more things on free motion quilting along with embroidery. So we will take a look at some videos just because I know many people enjoy watching me free motion quilt. But then I know no other way to do this but to go through a mini trunk show. I have done 10 of these projects for an upcoming conference that I'm giving for them to give away. So I will go from the very easy to somewhat more complicated, but just so that you can see the realm of what you can do. These were all done with the goal of making it easy, and they look difficult, but I truly will tell you that they were not. The quilting took anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to maybe an hour, but otherwise it's so simple. Now every quilt here is finished but two. Two have not had the binding put on yet, but everything else is done, and then I'll put little hangers on the back of them, but you don't have to, and they are ready to gift. So let's take a look at some of the quilting and a look at these quilts. All right, so wall hanging number one. Remember, most of these were embroidery designs from embroiderylibrary.com, excluding one, and I'll tell you where that was from when I get to it. So very simple design, that goes quickly. One of the first things I will do is to decide, I have two choices, and I'll start in the middle. I will either stitch very closely along the words, or I'll echo it just a little bit outside of the whole design, and I might double echo it. So this design, my first stitching was close to it, but not right up against it because of this single stitching here. And then I did one more echo beyond that. All I did beyond that is these little feathers that you see. They are an awesome background design. They look so great. So then I did that and went throughout that whole design and then stitched in the ditch around it. You can do the stitch in the ditch on some of these and it won't cause a problem. The main thing I think of is that I don't want to get any puckers on the back. So however it works for you. With this small size, you probably won't. Next one does not have binding on it, and it's very simple. There's only a couple of these that have the same designs on it. This one I did with very small little hooks or swirls, and I did one. The first stitching was right up against the letters, and then I echoed it. So it's your choice on how you want it to do. And around the flower, I did the same. I got way up close to it, and then I echoed it. So it's really up to you in the style that you like on how you handle that and the design that you're working with. And then the little swirls around it, followed by the stitch in the ditch. Next one was very easy, but I absolutely love this. This is one of my favorites. So on this one, I did not get close up to the lettering. I only echoed once around the whole design. That kind of made it a unit in and of itself and allowed me to put the hearts all the way around it and just getting them tight so that they covered every area, but not too big. This is another fabulous design that I love. The hearts are wonderful. They make a great background design, and these were so easy or quick. So the hearts, the little feathers, very quick designs, and then the stitch in the ditch, and that's it. I chose not to stitch in these borders at all. This was to be a pretty simple project. Now these are just beginning projects. I'll show more complicated in the next week or two. Okay, similar On this one, I wanted to show where I didn't have to go into all of this. So I stitched inside of this design and then and around the heart and all of this little roping. And that was it. Then I stitched tight around the outside and echoed it once. So did some stitching inside and stitching outside, but I didn't overdo it because I want that pop. Did this one again with the hearts just because it said to live with a thankful heart. So it made sense with that one. Stitch in the ditch and you're done. This one has not been bound. And this one was done with swirls. Actually, circles, more continuous line circles. On this one, I chose a little bit different of technique. I could take forever to do this, but I went around these black lines and then did not go around the gold. I did go around this gold. But that's it, and around these crosses. My goal was to really make things stand up. Now, I could definitely go and stitch around the gold, but then I would, this is definitely a three-dimensional effect. See if I can get you to see that. Not sure. Yeah, I think you can there. If I stitch down on that, I would lose some of it. So, left these and these undone, and I actually like the way that that's finished. And again, the binding's not done, but stitch in the ditch and we're good to go. Then we get a little bit more. So another simple design, and most of these that you've seen that are like this are about 9 by 17. So they're a nice gift design. So stitched an echo away from it, and I echoed it a couple of times. Before I did that, I threw in a dragonfly, a couple of flowers, and a butterfly. Then just echoed this one a couple of times, echoed the flowers and the other items a couple of times, and then it started sealing off areas. Once you start sealing off areas, you do this a couple times, you've sealed this area, and the same with this flower. Then you can see where your echoes need to go, and you just echo in the areas that are not sealed until you have more sealing, and it kind of shows you itself where you need to go. It looks very complicated, but once you do it, it's not, and you can get wonderful results with it. Sorry, I'm reach in front. Here we have another similar one. This one we did a grid on, and I came through it with this grassy technique in the grid. Did echo it a couple of times just to set it apart. And the only thing I did different on this was to leave these little parts on the outside undone to look more like a frame. And my biggest reason for doing that was I didn't want to have to deal with a lot of partials on this little grass. So I left that undone, and I think it's fine. So it looks like my little iris is in a field of grass. Then we'll get a little bit more complicated. Now let's start adding in feathers. How do we take a big design like this and make it different, adding in something and still using different designs, but a nice finish? So the difficulty on a square is getting your feathers to go around the corners. And the way to do that is to put some type of a design. I used a swirl or a hook. You can use a heart. You can use a teardrop, anything like that. And I put those in the corners first and then followed them around with the feathers. And I did that. I went ahead and did that first so I could see how I wanted the inside to look. Then I did go ahead and stitched close to the banners and close to the letters, the cursive letters. I didn't go out of my way to get the printed letters where there's a lot of breaks in them. And you can't really tell in the design. And I did stitch around these leaves and that. So just filling it in. Now, before that, though, went ahead and echoed around those feathers so that it could kind of be set off. And then just a simple loop design. Small, but doing the loops so it can still use very beginning techniques. Got a little bit fancier with this one, so now we can start adding different things that we kind of designed. So the first thing I did was think about what could I do different in these borders. So came up with a teardrop along with a little hook, and then echoed it to seal it as a design, echoed the echo, and came in with little pebbles or pearls, and did that in each corner. But this was not measured and made perfect. This was looking at the other designs and anticipating about how far it had to go out. So it's not perfect, but it gives a nice pretty finish, and then coming in with these leaves. Now the neat thing about this is everything around here that could touch this brown fabric on the outside was done with the leaves. But where you have these flowers in here, I didn't go into any of that. So what we end up with is a raised feature on those flowers. So it is a real three-dimensional effect against that cross, and the cross comes out very nicely as well. And then again, stitching in the ditch, and that's it, we're done. And the final one, I've had this sitting around for quite some time and have never done it. Went ahead and just thought, well, this is a great time to do this one. So, I meant to tell you, this is the one that was not from Embroidery Library. I purchased this from Oma's place, OMA''S place. She has wonderful designs that have to do with faith. So I hope I don't offend anyone. This is who I am, and where these are going to is for my church. So, or I apologize if I do offend you, but she does have some great designs. So if you're interested in that, check Oma's place out. All right, and another place is Embroidery Garden. They have some nice designs as well. So this is back to Embroidery Library. And all I did was get my rulers out, my Handy Quilter half circle templates actually, and have a circle on the inside that actually cuts into this C right around the edge, which gives it a nice feature because it looks like it's going underneath that. Everything in here was stitched close to except for this word here, and then I just stitched beside these letters but not up into them, so just around the outsides of them, and then this was also stitched close to. Then got my circle, echoed that circle, came in with stippling, the little pearls, followed by the feathers. Then wanted to really set that apart, so echoed that 2 times after the feathering, followed by these little feathers. And this is probably my favorite. This is who I am. The stitch in the ditch, and we're ready to go. So that gives you an idea of how we can go from something very simple to just a little stitching around it and some feathers, or background feathers, and then to an actual design that we combine with the embroidery. post this video section on combining the free motion quilting with the embroidery designs to make just simple wall hangings. You could make them as pot holders too. Anything like that, little anything for your table toppers. Next week, hopefully, I'm working on a project now that will take embroidery and I'm going to put it into blocks and then make a wall hanging with it. I hope to have that done for next week, at least the top. If I don't, I may have to skip a week. But I hope you can see where you can really use this process to practice your background stitching and as well to look where you're going and not where you're at and doing outlining stitches. So it's a great tool to have something to give that's relatively quick. I did 10 of them in a short period of time. And just to have something to give and to enjoy the process. So give me your feedback. Subscribe if you like it. Give me some feedback of if this is something that you enjoy or would like to learn more on, or if you prefer to get back to quilting designs. And I will see you back either in 1 or 2 weeks. Have a great week. Bye-bye.